All right, guys, today we're working on my Knight Rider dash. Let's go. So this is my problem. See how straight that is? Dash is straight. Now look how crooked this is. The reason that's crooked is because I had to align this with this screen, right? And it closes the gap. So what do? Do I have, it's gonna drive me crazy. That is totally crooked. And this is also crooked, but that's how it's straight right here. Otherwise I gotta make that crooked so this is straight. Wow. Decisions. Still working on this Knight Rider project. What's really great about the guy Ricardo in Mexico who makes these dashes is he installs these little air conditioning vents here. Those are fantastic. And he also has these lower sections that allow you to plug in your switches for the headlights and things, which is great. There's another lower piece that I showed you before that's going to go here. And I'm going to go with the pod delete. The reason is because, see, if I reach down here and I grab what are known as the pods, and these are 4th season pods, and this is the 2-season dash, but look how they just cover up like this whole thing. And like you can, and you whack your shins, and this is where my knees are, okay? These are a pain in the ass. I don't want them, I don't like them there. So I'm gonna go with, let me grab this, the pod delete. And the pod delete will sit there like that. And you have full access to all your gauges and things, and your switches, and your knees right here. So I'm going with that route. Now, these are dummies, they don't do anything. This power switch will actually be the thing that turns the dash on. That will actually turn the dash on. When you hit auto, normal, or pursuit, that will show up here under, you know, auto, normal, and pursuit. Which I'm not real happy with the way you can see the LEDs behind these. I may want to put some additional diffusion there. Now the screens came out fantastic. These are 5-inch LCD screens in this injection molded body that's been mounted in here. And these video screens are going to be great. And I want to hide some kind of a video switcher system that may be on a relay that may operate by buttons, but I want to be able to toggle between the video that's going to be in here. We'll get to that later. But this is the conundrum that I have right now, okay? So in order to get this to sit correctly flush with this, right? See how that lines up, right? Pretty much. But the problem is that is actually tilted to do that. And when I line this up to there, now this is tilted. Now, it doesn't look tilted because if you look there, it's straight, right? It's straight to here, and this is straight to here. But the reality is when you pull back, right? When you pull back, do you see straight up and down? And then that's not. Oh my God, that's gonna drive me crazy. My feng shui would be way off. I could not live with myself if I was driving down the road and I stared and I'm like, okay, wait a second now. I mean, this is not gonna work. So if I put this straight and I put this straight, then you're gonna have this big V gap here. So, or, I don't know. I either gotta put a filler of some kind back there. But this ain't gonna fly for me. I don't even like that gap. I mean, I worked really hard to try to make sure there was no gaps. Like, I didn't like the way this is built either. Like, you know, notice how, you know, because the way this curves down, this button down here, this button up here, but I wanted it straight. You know, you have to make these decisions. Like, do I make it in line with this or do I make it level? I decided to make it level because if you're sitting here, right? If you're sitting here, let me go back to wide. If you're sitting here, you rotate, this is level, eye level. It's not in position with this. Because if I did that, then these are all crooked as hell. I wanted these to be, you know, straight. Now, if you go back and you actually watch, I have the 4K DVDs of Knight Rider. You go back and you watch those, you'll see that these are all actually split, right? Like this is split. And it's held in with, you'll see like screw. This is one piece. But in the show, see that little broken line there? That little broken line is there in the design for a reason, because these were originally separate pieces. And there would have been a screw. And that's how the original was made. that broken line there. Screw, screw. So this is actually 1, 2, 3, 4 panels in reality on the show, made of plastic. Now I need a diffuser piece of glass here, which I have something perfect for that because I need to pull this out. I'm going to use, I'll tell you what I'm going to use, but I need to grab one from my shop in Texas. When we do our proton packs, we had these cut for us. Let me flip the switch. See that piece of blue Lexan here that we use for, it's not as diffused as I'd like it to be, but it would add a little bit of diffusion to it, and it just happens to be about the right size. So I'm going to use that off of a proton pack, which I think is appropriate. I think it's about the right size. It doesn't look like about the right size. I need to measure it. And then I need to also diffuse these, but they need to be diffused in color. Now I might be able to just diffuse them in white. I think I can just get a thin, milky white diffuser that I can put over these that'll keep the color and diffuse these LEDs. I've always hated being able to see the LEDs. So one of the things that really separates our packs, right? Get this box out of the way. When I turn our pack on, notice how the cyclotron lights, let me see if I can't darken this maybe. If I could darken it, it would help, but they're too bright. But you notice how you can't see the LEDs? It's because of the way we designed the pack so that the bulb is far enough away from the lens. The big mistake that every pack builder makes, this is a Hasbro pack, right? Look at this. You can see the little LEDs. Now, of course, this is Hasbro. This is not a profession. I mean, this is a production pack, right? But way different design. And the way we do it, we do it in such a way that we have a real opaque plastic. Anyway, my point is that I don't like to be able to see the individual LEDs unless they're supposed to be. These LEDs are supposed to be seen, right? Focus. There we go. See, but like this is probably okay, and this raw LED is probably okay. I would prefer there was some kind of diffusion there. This is probably okay, and I think these end up becoming turn signals in the design. But also notice how like there's this air conditioning vent here, right? So that's at least something that'll blow onto the passenger's face. So that's something. But like I said, I'd like to figure out a way to access this. You know, in your Trans Am, you've got a vent there, and then you got two big ones in the middle, right? So I want, you know what's funny is while I'm recording this, I'm being texted by Catherine Hicklin, which if you're a Knight Rider fan, you know who that is. She lives here in Vegas, and she was just text messaging me while I was recording. Anyway, name drop, just name dropping. What does she say? She says she's watching my YouTube video. She loves it. That's what she just said. Anyway, so so what I want to do is I want to try to figure out a way. For one thing, when I was watching the show, I noticed that they have a surveillance mode thing right here. Sometimes it's here. Sometimes it isn't. Now, if you the most of the scanner kits that are available simulate the surveillance mode because they're part of the scanner. And I'd like to try to mount that here. And there is a nice big flat spot right there. A big long flat spot, I can mount that. So I'd like to put my scanner control here. And here's the issue with that, right? This is a long video, or a long cut. This lower console is designed. It sits somewhere somewhere in here. I gotta look where my lower, well, it'll probably be over. I need to really match it up because when you're sitting in the car, it sits somewhere right about over here. And it goes up underneath there a lot. So I need to figure out exactly where that goes and see if I can fit, because your stereo is right there, and that's the issue. Your stereo. Here, let's go out and look at KITT. Come on. Okay, I'm inside KITT, my Trans Am, with the light on. So this particular console, lower console, is not screen accurate. It's been redesigned. Look at all the dust in the air with the light. Vegas. So it's been redesigned. It's not dust. It's ghosts. I'm surrounded by orbs. No, it's dust. Anyway, this thing is designed so that you can still access your brake, which I don't even care. I don't think I've ever used that brake in my life. But the point here is that look how this thing goes right up to the stereo and just totally ruins that, right? So thank goodness I've already taken my steering wheel off. I don't have the dash in. So I'm gonna be changing the stereo out anyway. I'm gonna be putting like a Blaupunkt. It's a replica of a 80s Blaupunkt that plays through phone, because I want to do that anyway. So that's gonna go in here. You still need to be able to access your air conditioning, my God. And then this thing here blows is your main source of air. You've got these air vents here. So what happens is you pull these plastic vents out, and then he has a module that goes here with a round 2-inch thing. You run a hose over to your little vent. So you have a little vent blowing on your face here, and then your passenger gets a little vent there. But there's all this air, and it's just blowing in the back of the vent. I mean, I guess you could just have it blowing on the back of the vent, and it's just kind of blowing under here, and it's helping cool your electronics. But I would like to tap off of this and find a way to get a little bit of air blowing on my face here. And I got to figure out how to do that. So we're going to have to lose our mirror here, because once we put in our upper console, it completely covers this up. But you're not going to really need it. There'll be a screen here. So when the dash is sitting here, you'll understand. Now, here is where my surveillance mode controller is that controls the scanner. See? And it's much larger than the one on the show, and it's not screen accurate to the one on the show, but this is what I have. Now, I thought about taking this apart, but I don't want to do that. So that thing, I mean, I guess I could just leave it there. I guess I could leave it there and reach around and turn it there. But every single time you turn it on, this particular one pisses me off, because whenever you turn it on, it goes into the slowest mode. And the first thing I have to do is speed it up. You have to press these buttons a bunch of times, or hold it, to get it to go to the speed you want it to go. There you go. I like it to go fast. There we go. And then I also like to increase the volume. So rather than having it up and down, I don't know if you can hear the whooshy whoosh, but the thing pisses me off, because every time you turn it off, it doesn't have a memory apparently. Unless I'm just doing it wrong. See, it's annoying as shit. So you have to, and I may replace this, I don't know. So it's hot in here. I don't have the engine battery hooked up because I'm working on the engine. I have a separate battery power system that runs all the props. So also another thing about that particular dash is, like I said, it relocates certain buttons. So there'll be access right here that'll have my headlight buttons. And then I have this trunk button that I'm going to hook up to a relay that will be hooked up to another thing. The trunk buttons in these cars, they only work when the car is off and in park. It won't allow you to open the trunk while the car is running or driving. It has to be off and in park in order for that button to work. I'd kind of like to override that, but it's a safety feature. Now, underneath all this garbage is the window switches, and this is the mirror switch. Now these window switches are going to be, you know, I'm pissed because I just bought 2 new ones. I just bought 2 brand new switches, and I already had these ones in here. I didn't even realize it. Shit. These were expensive. All right, so what I did was I've ordered a piece of like 10-foot long 8-conductor cable. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hack these wires. I'm going to cut these wires off, and then I'm going to splice them, and I'm going to put like couple of 3 or 4 feet on there, and I'm going to relocate this mirror. I actually have a new mirror switch because this one's gray. I don't like it. I'm going to put a new mirror switch, and I'm going to relocate it, and I don't know where. I wanted to try to put it like here, or maybe on the inside of this or something, but I can't put it here because this is going to be busy full of stuff. And I don't know why they didn't design that into the car. I mean, they put the window switches here. Just put the gosh darn mirror switch in. But maybe it was because the cars that they were using for the show were actually probably SE models and didn't have power mirrors. So I don't know if that's the case, but they just did not consider power mirrors. They didn't care. So there's no place to put the power mirror in here with the regular props. And I'm like, okay, where can I relocate it? You know, maybe I could relocate it right here. You know, I could, because you can't access your gosh darn ashtray anymore. Well, you can a little bit, I guess. Actually, you can. I just realized he put a cutout. Oh, that's great. That's actually great. I didn't realize that till just now. Well, that's fantastic. Ricardo, what a job. I didn't even realize that till just now. Okay, smart. So I get to, you know, I don't even smoke. What am I going to put in there? My mints. Okay. But you could use this for something. Now, I'm trying to figure out where I can put, I'm thinking about on that dash, there's a place where I can maybe put the, that's why I bought the piece of 8 conductor cable. That way I can do that. So I want to have functional things in there. Like, you know, once I get this upper console in here, I want to use some more of that 8 conductor cable to run down the pillar. I got like 25 feet of it. And that way I could have as many as 8 buttons or 7 buttons and 1 ground trigger certain things. So for instance, the trunk pumper. So I can put that on one of these buttons that will exist here or up here, and any other functions. You know, we have a fog light, and then a dummy. That's just a light to indicate that your fog light's on. Now I could leave this here and reach up under there and get it, but I want to relocate all of the different functional buttons, which there aren't many. I don't know what else went here in this plug relay. It looks like there was some other controls here. And these may be just dummies. Oh, you know what? I bet these are dummies that were part of the original wiring harness that operated the rear wiper, and could be the rear wiper was removed, or they just left these there and they just used the same harness. I don't know. But I do want to come up with a way to try to capture some of this air and get it to blow on my face. I guess a little bit of it blowing on down below is nice, but these 2 little vents that are this big around, that's not going to be good enough for Vegas, because this car... The other thing I'm going to do is, before I put all this stuff in, when I remove this dash, I'm going to take it to the tint place. I'm going to what the fuck? I just noticed this. Son of a bitch. There is a chip in the center of my windshield. God damn it. That sucks. Anyway. All right, well, I'm going to get the windshield and also these windows up here and these side windows ceramic tinted with the highest grade of reduction. Not darkness, but UV reduction. That's a thing they do here in Vegas. This car has only, 39,000 miles, which I think I had like 36,000 when I bought it. And the car was like mint, and it still is. I mean, the crazy thing is this is an 88 GTA, right? So the dude bought this car, and then I believe he changed out all the door panels, all the interior, the front fenders, the whole clip. He took an 88 GTA that was mint, put an 82 hood on it, 82 fenders, because I'm pretty sure these are not 82 doors. Because see this pattern, this crosshatch pattern? That's the stuff they put in the 88s. Completely different interior. And so he put an entire 82 interior in this car. It's pretty amazing. Yeah, the car is extremely dusty. But I don't know if he had changed out the rear hatch. I mean, I do have a blackout on here, but it's just one of the cheapy ones that just kind of Velcros over. And I've got a much better one that's going on. And you see this little gap here? You see that? Okay, now that's a problem. So basically, this entire rear section, you see the separation here? This entire rear section is glued to the glass. And what happens is heat will, like, okay, so basically the piston that hooks onto the bottom of this thing, heat will eventually push this back, and there's no way to adjust it. You have to basically remove it and re-glue it without breaking the glass to get this flush again. It's a major pain in the ass. It's a major pain in the ass. But this car, like anybody who knows Trans Am's, like that right there is what makes this car great. It's filthy. It's absolutely dirty, right? But the thing about it is, this car is an 88 GTA, which was a rare and expensive car, which honestly would be worth a lot of money right now. And I wish it wasn't so filthy, but this is just Vegas. That's what happens. So I've got a new alternator over there, which is 250 amp special custom ordered alternator. And but this is a tune port injected 305. Now, you could not get the 350 with the T-tops. We've talked about this before. They found that the 350 was too powerful and would crack the windshields because the body would flex because it doesn't have a frame. It's a unibody construction. So whenever you see a T-top car, unless somebody changed the motor, it's gonna have a 305, which is fine. It's more than enough with the two-port fuel injection. But this is a totally factory original engine and car that has, you know, the air conditioning and cruise control, but it's had some gobbledygook put together here for this scanner, which is a good quality scanner, and it's very much like the original in the show. The original in the show wasn't even this good. It was just a piece of C-channel with some 1156 bulbs. This one actually has 2 diffusers in there, and that's just how they did it in the show. Now this one actually has halogen lights, so this is one of the upgraded ones, right? And I don't know if I can do this with one hand. That's what she said. But that's how they did it in the show, just like that. That's how they did. The one in the show was like way more cheap than that. They just had some C-channel put together with 1156 bulbs that basically used the same electronics kit that we use in the flux capacitor or in that proton pack. It's just a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and back again. So it's like, or 8 actually I should say. But it's a very simple circuit. So, but this car functions perfectly. We drove it from Dallas to here in Vegas, and you know, there's nothing wrong with the car. I mean, I had the 15-inch turbo cast wheels removed, blasted and powder coated. And I have the original hubcaps over there. I just need to put it on the car, and it's just, the car's just filthy. And so, and I think I've got a pretty decent sound system in there, but that looks like a factory speaker to me. So I'm probably gonna put some seriously badass speakers in here. Those are the 4x6s, and you get 6x9s here in the sail panels. And then we'll have some additional sound effect speakers that are mounted under there. We also have a lithium ion battery system we're gonna put in the back there. So that's what's going on with the kit. All right, I was gonna use this pretty screen accurate Pilot Season 1, as they would be called, lower console. Has what's called the space matte coating. You have the window switches and these little white toggles. These buttons here, these things cost $500. And so I had built this actually for a different car and then pulled it out. I think it was in that car and I pulled it out. And all it did was light up. I just had it non-functioning and it just lit up. But I've decided I don't want to use this one for this console. I'm going to use a Season 2 console that I'm going to put together, which is a little bit different than this one. It actually has a numeric keypad with an actual display screen, and then has some different lighted buttons that go here. I just like it better. I mean, I do like these. These are real cool. These are real super 80s. But I'm going to leave this one alone. I'm going to put it in a different car because I have 3 other kit cars I need to build. So what else? This is just an extra one of those that I have. So this is that mirror switch that I want to try. See, I thought about trying to mount it like here or something, but this is where your headlight switch and dimmer goes. But I thought, wouldn't that be good there instead of the dimmer? But I want to actually use the dimmer. You can actually use the dimmer with this system. You know, well, maybe I could put it in there. Maybe that'll work. Yeah, that might work. If I can access, but you know what, that's probably perfect. If I cut the hole just perfect and I get that in there, that's a great spot for the mirror switch. Yeah, I like it. I think I'll do that. That's a great spot for it. Ricardo, if you're watching this, idea. So anyway. But anyway, I've looked at this dash and I'm like, okay, where could I put a middle vent? Even just a little slit. I'm afraid it would whistle though. I was like, what if I just cut like a slit in here or something, or here, or like where could I put another air conditioning vent, you know? Because it's basically gonna be right here behind this board, just blowing on the back of this board. I'm like, if I could capture this somehow and maybe run it right here, like some kind of a, I don't know, if I could put a vent right there, but then it's, I don't know. I want it blowing towards me. I mean, unless I get, well, you know what I could do? I don't know if that would work. What if I took one of these and put it up here? You know, it'd have to, that would look terrible though. Right in the middle of the dash, and then it would blow up this direction. Kind of like these little guys do. There's these little vented vents here. I'm gonna look into seeing what I can find. Because this you can rotate, you know? This is a lot like what's in a Lamborghini actually. These are pretty generic. And maybe I could just get another one of these generic ones. or maybe even 2, you know, and then just put them up here, or just one, even if it was just one, and then have it blowing, you know, because you need air coming this way as much as you can get. It's hot. This might be, this is just a random battery that I bought. I don't know if I can get another one, but it's a 200 amp lithium ion or lithium iron phosphate battery. And it's encased in metal. And I was thinking about putting it in the spare tire well or anywhere. You can put it in any direction because it doesn't matter. And so I'm going to use that to run the electronics. I mean, I got a whole bunch of random electronics left over. You know, these are parts to a season 1 upper console and then a season 4 upper console. This is a random eject. But you know, the thing is, when you watch a show and you see them operate this, they never show where it is. They just show a close-up of it. You don't know where it lives in the dash. You know, I just have a bunch of random parts that I bought over the years that are leftovers, and I'm trying to make things work, you know. So like, for instance, this is a season 3 and 4 upper console, but I love the pilot season 1, you know, version of the upper console, and I want to put that oxygen vent here. They never show where the oxygen vent is. I went and watched the show, and they just show a close-up of it operating. They don't show where it is. They never show the thing. So I'm going to be creative. I think I'm going to put it here. I've seen people try to put it here, but I'm going to put it here. It'll be flush, and it'll go, it'll open up like that, right in your face. So the thing is, this thing is huge. I need to cut it down because once you try to put it in the car, like it's literally right in your face. But I love this, the pilot, the season 1, the Darth Vader's bathroom. That's my favorite, as it's known. And this rear blackout is just epic. Get out of the way. Like, this thing is made very, very well. The way this thing wraps around. So I want to put that on. That's some of those little vents I was talking about. And then these are cup holders that go on the door, which I have some legit ones, but I bought those anyway. So anyway, lots going on. And I have tons of other parts at my shop in Dallas. This is my Las Vegas shop, for those of you who don't know. So I have a shop here and a shop there. I really got to fix this. I mean, it's totally crooked, dude. If I'm looking at it like here, like if you're like that face level, right? Like, let me point the camera so it's straight down that row. That shit's crooked, bro. I can't, oh man. I gotta pull all that out and start over. Damn it. All right, so this is the back side again. So these are the television screens, and there's really not, you can't put those in any other way. And so my goal was to get that other thing to line up here perfectly with this, but you can see just how crooked this is. And it's a lot of work to pull this out. But I don't know what I was thinking. You can clearly see that this is straight, and then this is like very not. So I'm just gonna have to have a gap somewhere, and I'm gonna have to fill that gap with some kind of filler material, you know, some kind of backing. And that's just what's gonna have to happen. There's no way around it. So now I've moved these brackets over. Now, let's say we're looking at this straight on. Let me scoot this out of the way. I'm looking at it on screen through the camera, and it looks like it's straight, and it probably is. But do you see what's going on here? I mean, look at that. You know, I wanted to, there's really no solution to this except to have it crooked. Because now this is clearly crooked. The way I had it before was probably better. And this is just a flaw in the design because I'm tortured by this. This is clearly out of whack. Maybe I have to make this crooked. That to me looks perfect. Like if I'm sitting here, that is perfectly straight. Just like me. All right, but moving over here, and this clearly needs to move over. Gosh darn it. And you can see where this is cut in. This is supposed to fit in there. All right, take two. So I've just repositioned it using some tape. So scanning across, keeping the dash level at the top of the camera. Look straight. All the stuff's legible. Ah! And there's no way to adjust this or change this in any way that I can tell. This is mounted in there. I mean, I don't know if there's anything I can do about those screens. The way they fit in here, you really got to cram them in there. They fit, you know. Whew, shucks. Because look at how much this slopes, right? I don't know if I can get behind. I can't get behind there to, you know, press that in. I mean, that looks right. Because, like, see how that's perfectly parallel to the side of the talk box, and you can still see the numbers and the lines, and you can read everything. You know, same as this. This looks very, like, if I was going across here, that looks straight to me. That looks straight to me. That looks straight to me. I could be off by a half a degree, but you know, So this is where this has to be. I either just have to put some kind of filler. Now, granted, this is going to be nice and dark in there, and I can just put some kind of a piece of plastic or a filler of some kind. I don't know if I can reposition this screen in a way that would be meaningful enough to, you know, you can't straighten it. That's not an option. So there just has to be some kind of a filler. I mean, I thought about trying to grind this metal down here and grind this down in a way that they kind of V together. And that's a possibility. But, man, you're talking about some real machine work that's going to be kind of difficult to do. You know, like I'd have to cut significant V. I'd have to grind that down on both ends and then try to slide this over, which would work. It's a rough one. Because that's a good 1/4 inch or more. And I could take this bezel out, put it on my sander, and just put it at an angle and just try to grind the bottom of that down, and then do the same and grind the bottom of this down. Whew. That's a tough one. Because once this is damaged, man, there's no fixing it. It's injection molded ABS plastic. Yeah. All right, so I decided to use my belt sander, bench belt sander, and bevel this edge at an angle. And I think it's working. See there? Now that gap is off just a little bit. I could tilt that a little bit if I move it up. All right, so I just need to move this page over, but I think that's the only way this is gonna work. And I think it's working. It looks pretty tight to me. So I think I need, but you can see where it's off. So I need to add just a little bit to it. You know, I need to get that bottom. I'm trying to look at it and then also with my camera. So yeah, see how it's crooked there? I need that straight along the bottom. So I need to take off a little off the top there. We're almost there. We're almost there, guys. I think that's that little gap. I mean, I've got it taped in. Once I really secure it, I think that'll go away. And that tiny little gap, the important thing here is trying to get this to look straight. What do you think, guys? I think that does it. Okay, I think I'm happy with this result. I've made it into a bit of a trapezoid shape. I've also added this bevel here and then a little bit here. So the result, you know, if you're looking at it, it's slightly trapezoidal shaped, not exactly symmetrical, but the idea here is when I get this here, see, when they come together, I like that very much. I mean, there's a tiny little light gap there, but you're not going to see that in the dark. And then I'll put some tape or something behind there. I think that's going to look straight to me. You know, I mean, I still see a bit, this kind of bows that way a bit, doesn't it? When you're looking at it upside down. So you're getting kind of or actually an upside down frown when you look at it the other way. You know, when you look at, I don't know, man. And this is the artesian part of this job, where you have to decide what is right. But to me, I wanted this and this to be somewhat straight. This is probably very boring to watch, isn't it? I've been doing this for hours. Hours! All right, I think this is the final test. I haven't put the electronics in. I'm still a little weirded out by this angle, because they're all just a little wonked, right? Like, because I've trapezoided this. So this is and this is and this is and that's It's like But I was going by this line. That line right there. And here is where it goes crazy. Yep. And then this is off a bit as well. Because if you're looking at just this is about a degree or two downward. Oh, and it drives. Now, from your driving angle, you're looking at it like that. Driving. But at least there's no gap here. There's no gap here. There's a tiny razor line. Literally a razor line. But I'm happy with it. I'm cool. Because for one thing, you're gonna be in the dark and these lights are gonna be blaring in your face, blinding you. And I thought about moving this, but I feel like this is perfect. But it could be, This is gonna drive me gosh darn nuts. But see how it's like, do you go by the top or the bottom? I'm going by this bottom, you know? I've modified it all I want to. I want to start putting it together. It's never gonna be perfect. And that's just the way it is. This dash isn't perfect. Knight Rider's not perfect. This hobby isn't perfect. You know, I've ranted about this before, about when it comes to like Knight Rider and specifically. And whenever you're on one of the, if you're watching this maybe because you're an avid fan, some of you are watching it just because you're fans of mine. But if you're a Knight Rider fan, or you're a fan of prop replicas, and you've been a part of any fan forum community, there's always some basement dwelling, mouth breathing, neck beard that's like, that's not screen accurate, you know, because you got a season 4 pods with a season 3 of Picasso and a season 1 shit. Listen, let me explain something to you. Over the 4 seasons of Knight Rider, the car changed minute to minute, scene to scene, frame to frame. You could be watching the pilot or any one of the episodes, and out of the 20 cars they use, the bumper changes, the steering wheel changes. There's actually a guy dressed as a seat that's just driving the car. Different scanners, different interiors, brown interior, beige interior, fake T-tops, you know, no bottom, different bumper, different hoods, just different. There is no such thing as a screen accurate Knight Rider. They show you things like this oxygen vent, and then but they never show you where it is. It's not actually in the car. I mean, Michael Knight is hardly ever, if he's jumping or running or punching, it's some dude in a wig, right? So there is no screen accurate. The goal here is to make the most user legible car. You're talking about, this was 40 years ago, this show. when all this stuff was fantasy. So the idea here, I mean, screen accurate, first of all, the original was like I pointed out to you before, this was 4 different panels. They were made of plastic. This is laser cut, laser etched metal. So I don't want to hear one gosh darn comment from one of you mouth breathing, drooling fools about screen accuracy. I hear this crap on A-Team and Back to the Future and every fandom that I'm a part of. And I've talked about it ad nauseum. And the more you learn about this thing, by the way, if you go get Knight Rider on on Blu-ray, it will drive you crazy because you can see with absolute detail the duct tape, the fakery, the shittery that's going on. It's terrible. It's hard to watch. Watch it on VHS on a little 5-inch TV. Don't watch it on a OLED 4K TV and Blu-ray. You will punch yourself in the face. I can't even watch it. I'm just like, it's so bad. So anyway, for those of you wanting to build a Knight Rider car, people go, okay, how much does it cost, Bob? It costs a lot. How much do I sell the cars for? I don't really build them and sell them so much because like I'd have to sell the car for between $50,000 and $75,000. And people just don't want to pay that much for a black Trans Am. First of all, you have to go find a black Trans Am that's in good condition. If it's in bad condition, it has to be painted, rust repair, interior replaced, engine fixed, transmission fixed. You got to find the right wheels, powder coat them, find the hubcaps. There's $10,000 in that dash. It's like not quite $10,000 in that dash, but your lower console is going to cost you $2,000. Your upper console is going to cost you $2,000. The dash is going to cost about $6,000. Steering wheel is going to cost $1,000 to $2,000. The pods are going to cost $1,000 to $2,000. All depends on your options and how you put it together. So you're going to spend about $5,000 painting the car if you get a decent paint job. You're going to spend about $2,000 on the nose. You're going to spend a couple of grand on the wheels. So like if you have your own body shop, like I do, like if you have your own, I have tools, right? I have a machine shop here. I can do and make things. But if you don't have those kind of tools and you wanted to pay somebody else to do it, you're looking at about $50,000 to $75,000 in today's money for a car like that. That's not crap. When you find them floating around eBay for like 20 grand, it's just like some bubble gum. It's just like a Trans Am with the nose on it and some bubble gum on it. It's not put together like this. This is going to be my personal car. I'm not going to sell the car. I'm going to keep this car. This is going to be my car, right? You know, when I was a little kid, when I was 9 years old watching Knight Rider, I fell in love with it. And when I was 16 years old, the very first car I went out and bought was a 1982 Firebird, and that was no accident. I wear black and red because I loved the black and red that was on my toy Knight Riders. I love the black and red that was on my A-Team van toys. All of my favorite stuff, when I played with my G.I. Joes, I loved Cobra because they had black and red. You know, when I played with Transformers, I liked the black and red ones. I just always loved black and red. And when you look at the aesthetic of this dash and you see all the black and red in the car and the light, and it's just, there's something about it that's just exciting to me. I've always been attracted to it. Look at a Proton Pack, black and red lights. So I got a little blue light in there, but the label's red. The hose is red, black and red. Milwaukee Tools, black and red. It's no accident. It's a power color. And it just does something. It invigorates me. I don't know what it is. You know, look at these Gucci shoes. Look at these are Gucci shoes that I'm wearing in my workshop. That's what I wear. I wear Christian Louboutin or Gucci or whatever. Because if you're going to build a Knight Rider, do it with some style. So anyway, I hope that explains my black and red obsession. It's just something that was a thing that I latched onto, and I've just like, I need to do a video on this Rockpal generator that was sent to me. And I normally don't do promotions like that, but that one was so cool. I was like, it's black and red, and I'll take it. And they mailed it to me for free, and I got to do a video on it. I haven't done it yet. But it's a Rockpal battery pack inverter generator thing. Like this, look at this. This is a Marshall Bluetooth speaker. It was black. I took it apart, painted it red. You know, I like it. I just like stuff. Is that okay? Is that okay with you? Some people like certain colors, certain textures. It's my fetish. I love it. So, anyway, We're gonna get this car put together, and I want it to be fully functional. I want it to be a car that feels factory, feels modern, gauges work, and it's a car that you can trust. I live in a hot, dry climate. Drove the car from Dallas to Vegas, and it worked flawlessly. So, you know, these cars can be buggers, but when taken care of and well maintained, I've seen these cars, these, you know, K-body Camaros, Trans Ams with hundreds of thousands of miles on them. And if you have a transmission failure or an engine failure, you can buy a whole new motor or transmission for not that much money, considering the value of the car. But you got to think, for so many years, for 20 years, these cars range from $500 to $2,500, you know. And then but this one I paid, I think 12 grand for that car 10 years ago, because when I bought it, it was the most mint one I'd ever seen. And I think that if it was a untouched factory 88 GTA with a window sticker in it at 39,000 miles, I'd probably get 40 grand for it as it is anyway. So that's the thing you're looking at. You're looking at when you restore one of these cars, put an interior in it, paint it, get it up to par, and when you get it on the level, like this car, if I were to sell it, I would want at least $75,000 for the car. And you might say, that's crazy money, and it is. It's stupid money. But if you had to recreate what I'm doing right now, the amount of man hours, you know, like if you could not do this yourself, and you were paying a place that specializes in this kind of stuff, $150, $200 an hour plus materials and all that other thing, in today's money, that's what it would cost. Times have changed. A lot has changed post-COVID and post-45th administration. I'm not trying to get into a political conversation, but the reality is, starting at 2020, when we changed administrations and then we went into the lockdown and everybody's mindset changed, we got massive inflation that we've never seen before. Our cost of goods tripled, as well as our cost of fuel and the cost of everything. So whereas a few years back I would sell one of these cars for 25, it's impossible to do now. It's impossible. So that's just what it is. That's what it is. Maybe things will change. We'll see what happens next year. But I can just tell you that that's what it is. Stuff is expensive, you know. Like, I mean, and we could do this all day long, but like, go buy a roll of solder, silver solder. That's like, this used to be $6. It's like $30. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm talking about. And those kind of things have changed our landscape and our ability to do these things. I'm very fortunate, you know, the people that are in these other fandoms, Knight Rider, Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, this stuff is out of reach for them now. It's, you know, it's $100,000 out of pocket for me to build one of my time machines. Out of pocket. When I build a time machine, I'm spending over $100,000 and putting months and months of labor into the car. Okay? So building a Knight Rider, and like the reason I don't do A-Team vans is because it would cost me $30,000 or $40,000 just to build the van, and nobody's going to pay me $50,000 for the van. People have asked me about it. They go, oh, I'm interested in an A-Team van. I go, well, you got 50 grand? They're like, no. So that's why I don't do A-Team vans. I don't mess with certain vehicles like that because people aren't ready to pay for that kind of money. People will pay $150,000 for a DeLorean time machine. But as far as Knight Rider goes, I don't know if things are going to come back for Knight Rider in the same way. A lot of the people that are interested in Knight Rider are people that can't afford a Knight Rider. So I'm doing this for me. I've only got another, 10 or 15 years to live. What am I? I'm almost 50 years old. I'm not going to live past 65 or 70, right? So maybe I will. Let's say I live another 20 years, but I'm not going to be able to do these things, I'd say 10 or 15 years from now. I'm not going to be able to do this kind of work. Now, you see people like Gene Winfield and George Barris, and these guys worked really late in their life. I mean, Gene Winfield's in his 90s. He still works. But I don't think I have that kind of a constitution that I'm going to be able to keep doing this stuff. I'm going to be 49 years old next month, or in a month, in September 1st. And that's real close to 50. And let me tell you, I feel it. My arm's tired from just holding this phone. Okay, I'm sorry if you found this video boring. If you found it invigorating and you've got some good information, you might want to give it a thumbs up, give me a comment, and also subscribe to the channel. I've been doing these Knight Rider cars since 2004, going on almost 20 years. We've done 46 DeLorean time machines, I think about 7 or 8 of these. We've done a bunch of Blues Brothers cars and Ectos and stuff. So if this is your first time seeing me, you may have seen me on the TV show Pawn Stars, Auction Kings, and my own show, Screen Machines, that aired nationwide, or worldwide actually. And so trying to get back in the swing of things with Knight Rider, it's just an old love of mine. It's a passion project just for me. Not planning on selling the car. I just want to get it built. So I do have 3 other Knight Rider cars to build that is in my Dallas location shop. And so we're going to get to working on those because I'm kind of fired up about all this, and we're going to try to do them all at once. So I may or may not have a car. So if you are interested in one of these Knight Rider cars and you have a budget of between $50,000 and $75,000 and you want a quality build like what we do, hit me up, and one of the next cars can be for you. All right, catch you guys later. I'm Videobob.